He watched helplessly as his girlfriend died before his eyes, but the next morning, his girlfriend's familiar voice came from behind him. They startled each other. Ian was shaking from her fear. Then Monsa gave him a hug, feeling her hot body heat. Ian realizes that this is the real Monsa. Was it just a nightmare? But he was saying the same things he said yesterday. He did the same things he did yesterday. Even he put on the suit he wore yesterday. As he was rushing to take it off, he heard Monsa boiling water in the kitchen. He rushed over to stop her, because yesterday she was burnt by the kettle, but nothing happened to her. Monsa wondered why Ian was so different today. Seeing that nothing happened yesterday, Ian thought he was being paranoid, but the curling iron still burned her. In order to prevent yesterday's incident from happening again, Ian chose a different route when he left the house. Just then, a motorcycle came up behind him. He grabbed Monsa to avoid it, because yesterday, the kid behind the car threw garbage and soiled her clothes. But that didn't happen today. Monsa wondered why Ian was so jumpy today. A passerby accidentally bumped into the food she was holding. Her clothes were still dirty. Ian was horrified. This was definitely not a simple dream. He desperately wanted to tell Monsa what he had experienced yesterday and what was happening today, but he couldn't tell her how the dream ended. Ian remembered that he had broken his watch yesterday. Monsa had an idea. If his watch wasn't broken when he got to the office, then he didn't have to worry about it. When he got to the door, his watch was intact. He breathed a sigh of relief. What had happened to Ian yesterday? And how did Monsa get into the accident? It all started yesterday morning. Ian was a small-time executive in a London firm. Monsa was a musician. She played the violin for 16 years. She came to London from America to study. Yesterday morning, Monsa wanted Ian to go home with her tomorrow, but Ian turned her down again, saying he was busy at work. He couldn't even remember the name of her hometown. Monsa is used to Ian's carelessness, but what broke her heart the most was he forgot about the concert tonight. She'd spent 3 years preparing for the concert. Ian had never given a damn about her, but she put away her frustration and wished him a good meeting, because she knew how important the next meeting was to Ian. But when she got home, she realized that Ian had left his laptop at home. She anxiously sent him there, but by the time she got there, the meeting had already started because the waiter refused to bring it in for her. She had to push the door open, but Ian had already taken his laptop with him. Her abruptness screwed up the meeting. After the meeting, a depressed Ian walked into a travel agency. Monsa was passing by and saw him. She was secretly delighted. She wondered if it was a surprise for her. Ian grabbed a cab to get to Monsa's concert. The weird thing was that the driver could tell right away that he and Monsa were having relationship problems. Ian was looking for someone to talk to. He felt like he couldn't make her happy. The driver asked him a crucial question. If Monsa got on a plane tomorrow and never saw her again, could he live with that? Ian couldn't live with that. Well, you know what to do. Appreciate her and what you have, just love her. Monsa's concert was a great success. After it was over, a little guy named Oliver expressed his admiration for Monsa. Monsa happily showed Young-yoon the card the student had given him, but Young-yoon was impatient and urged her to leave. During the meal, the air around the table seemed to freeze, making it hard to breathe. It's true that a lot of bad things happened today. Monsa tried to lighten the mood, but Ian was always in a bad mood. There was even a discussion about whether they should stay together or not, though he expressed his intention to go on. But it broke Monsa's sensitive heart. She said the biggest reason she stayed in London was for him, but Ian never understood. Monsa told him all her grievances. Then she left her seat in sadness, but then she suddenly remembered seeing Ian on the road today. So she asked him with a last hope, "Where are you going to the travel agency today?" Ian said he was going on a business trip. This time, she was completely disillusioned. When she left the hotel, Monsa got into a cab. Coincidentally, the driver was the same one Ian had met before. He asked Ian if he wanted to get in. It was exactly 11 o'clock at night. Seeing Ian's hesitation, Monsa slammed the door. When the car came to the traffic light, an accident happened. Ian was afraid that what happened yesterday would happen again. He was afraid that Monsa would barge in during the meeting, but she didn't. The meeting was a success. He signed a few big deals. Just when he was happy to share with his friends, he caught a billiard ball flying towards him, and yesterday, the ball hit the glass right behind him. Ian realized what was supposed to happen was still happening, just in a different order. He stopped a cab, but it's the same driver from yesterday. Ian realized that this was no ordinary man. He urgently asked if there was anything he could do to stop the accident. Appreciate her at what you have. Just love her better. Hurry up. You haven't got much time. Ian went looking for Monsa like a madman. He ran to the place where Monsa taught violin, but he couldn't find her. Then he crawled into the street and mistook her for someone else. Then he came to her best friend's house. He met a cleaning lady at the door. "Do you know Samantha Andrews?" Of course I love Miss Andrews. Everyone does if I was just a few years younger. And this guy's name was Oliver. Ian's whole body went numb. Everything from yesterday is happening in a different way. He finally found Monsaw at his best friend's gallery. He's taking her out of London without saying a word. Monsaw was taken to the train station in a daze. He bought her a ticket and they were on their way. But as Ian watched the scenery, it became more and more familiar. It turned out that Monsaw had bought a ticket from Ian's hometown. As long as Ian had shared something, Monsaw always remembers. She wanted to see the place where Ian grew up, but the weather was not favorable. Halfway there, it started to rain. They ran to a little rock shelter. While Ian was preparing a fire, his watch broke. What's done is done. He looked at the love of his life, and at some point he burst into tears. He asked Monsaw, if you had only one day to live, what would you do? Monsaw said without hesitation, I'd stay with you. We'd share everything with each other, the good and the bad. Ian had never felt Monsaw's love for him so clearly. They went to Ian's hometown. This was his father's bar. He was always Ian's hero, but then his father became an alcoholic. He loved him, but he left him when he needed him most. They never even got to see each other one last time, and that's something that's always been a big part of Ian's life. Wherever he is, I bet he knows how you feel. Monsaw unlocked him. On the one hand, he let go of his father's past. On the other hand, he was facing the coming grief. He had some peace of mind. Coming out of the pub, Monsaw realized she had to get back to the concert. Ian doesn't want her to go back, but it was Monsaw's dream. He realized that there were some things he couldn't stop. As long as Monsaw was happy, that was more important than anything else. Back in London, Ian took Monsaw on the Ferris wheel, which she wanted to ride but never dared. When the Ferris wheel rose to the highest point, he looked at the beautiful night view and the love of his life. Monsaw's fear of heights disappeared. He encouraged Monsaw to sing a song she wrote at a concert. Monsaw always wanted to do it, but she still didn't have the courage. When she wasn't looking, Ian took her sheet music. Then he went to the copy store and printed many copies. He explained everything to the conductor in advance. The concert was still perfect, just as Monsaw turned the sheet music over. It turned out to be a song she'd written. Then Ian introduced her to everyone. Nervous as hell, Monsaw just stood up there. The movie is called If Only. For those who are interested, you can watch the original movie. Ian Wyndham, Paul Nicholls, and his girlfriend, Samantha Andrews Jennifer Love Hewitt, are like any ordinary couple, going about their daily lives with little time to be alone. After an argument, Peter, who has come to apologize, hesitates to get into a cab. Because of this hesitation, his girlfriend chooses to leave. In less than a minute, the cab collided with a truck on the street in front of them, and his girlfriend was killed. Peter woke up the next morning to find that it had gone back to the day before. His girlfriend was safe and sound, and everything was going according to plan. If it were to happen again, Peter dares not think of actually becoming a fact. He drops all business and hikes, walks, and confides in his girlfriend in a loving way. When it came to that fateful night, the life-threatening cab ride, he didn't hesitate to get in and leaned over to protect her as the fatal blow came. It had a sad and warm ending. What a sweet life it would have been if they had just been happy.